For 6 years in a row, Fortune magazine called it America's most innovative company. Wall Street couldn't buy enough of its stock. Its CEO dined at the White House. On December 2nd, 2001, Enron filed for bankruptcy. $63.4 billion in assets gone. The stock had traded at $90 a share. It closed at 26 cents. This is not a story about bad luck. It's a story about a company that tried and failed. This is a story about a company that lied about everything, and the accounting trick that hid it in plain sight. Enron started as a pipeline company in 1985. Gas, pipelines, not exciting, not innovative, not anything. That changed when Jeffrey Skilling walked through the door. Skilling had an idea. Regulated utilities were boring. He wanted Enron to become a trading company. Energy contracts, weather derivatives, broadband capacity. Anything with a price could be traded, and Enron would be the market. Under the old system, when you sold gas, you recorded profit when the gas was delivered. Under Skilling, you recorded profit when you guessed how much the contract would make over the next 20 years. This was mark-to-market accounting, and it was approved by Arthur Andersen, one of the most respected auditors in the world. Here's how it worked. You signed a 20-year energy contract worth $100 million. Normal accounting, you count the profit as it comes in, year by year. Mark to market, you estimate the entire profit on day one. Book it immediately. Doesn't matter if the contract makes nothing. Doesn't matter if it loses money. The profit is already on the books. But it gets worse. Enron wasn't just booking future profits, it was projecting them. Guessing. If a deal was projected at $500 million, they booked $500 million. If it actually generated nothing, and many didn't, they rolled the losses into a new projection, further into the future. The losses never caught up because Enron kept writing longer contracts. The profit was always somewhere ahead, just out of reach. This was legal. Arthur Andersen signed off every single year. But projecting imaginary profits wasn't enough. Enron was also hiding real losses, billions in debt. The man who built the machine was CFO Andrew Fastow. Fastow created a web of off-book partnerships, shell companies with names like Chewco, JEDI, and LJM. They existed on paper only. No offices, no employees, one purpose. Hold Enron's debt so it wouldn't appear on the balance sheet. Enron would sell a failing asset to one of these partnerships. Fastow's partnership would buy it, taking the debt off Enron's books. The price was whatever Enron needed it to be. But there was a catch, and this is the part that makes it fraud. The SEC required at least 3% of the partnership's capital to come from an independent outside investor. Enron never had one. Instead, Fastow, the CFO of Enron, ran the partnerships himself. He was on both sides of the deal, and he personally made at least $45 million from these entities. A CFO is supposed to protect the company. Fastow was picking its pockets while pretending to save it. While Fastow was hiding debt, Enron's traders were doing something arguably worse. In 2000 and 2001, California experienced rolling blackouts. Electricity prices spiked 800%. Businesses shut shut down. Hospitals ran on generators. The state was in crisis. And Enron was celebrating. In 2004, recordings of Enron traders surfaced, verbatim. One trader, the magical word of the day is burn, baby, burn. A wildfire had shut down a major transmission line, which would drive prices higher. He was singing. All the money you guys stole from those poor grandmothers in California? Yeah, Grandma Millie, man. Enron's traders deliberately shut down power plants on false pretenses, claiming maintenance to restrict supply and drive up prices. They created artificial shortages. Real people paid real money. Some lost businesses, some lost homes. The California Attorney General later estimated the manipulation cost consumers approximately $45 billion. In August 2001, a vice president named Sharon Watkins sat down and wrote a memo to CEO Ken Lay. She had been looking at the books for one of Fastow's partnerships. What she found terrified her. She wrote, "I am incredibly nervous that we will implode in a wave of accounting scandals. My 8 years of Enron work history will be worth nothing on my resume." Ken Lay's response? He hired outside lawyers to investigate, the same lawyers who had approved the partnerships in the first place. He told them not to look too closely at the accounting. He told no one on the board. And he told Sharon Watkins nothing was wrong. During her congressional testimony 3 months later, a congressman held up a handwritten note and called it the smoking gun. She didn't disagree. By then, Enron was already dead. The collapse was not gradual. It was 24 days. October 16th, 2001. Enron reports a $618 million quarterly loss, the first real crack. Analysts start asking questions nobody has asked before. Where's the cash? October 22nd, the SEC opens an inquiry. Fastow is removed as CFO 2 days later. November 8th, Enron restates its earnings. $591 million in profit, wiped from the books. November 28th, Dynegy walks away from the merger. Enron's last lifeline snaps. December 2nd, 2001. Enron files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Into Chapter 11 closed today at 40 cents a share.
$63.4 billion in assets, the largest bankruptcy in American history. 4,000 employees lost their jobs that morning. Many lost their entire retirement savings, parked in Enron stock that had fallen from $90 to pennies. Arthur Andersen wasn't just Enron's auditor. They were inside the building. They had an office inside Enron's Houston headquarters. When the SEC inquiry began, something happened at Andersen's office. Documents started disappearing. The shredders ran overtime. David Duncan, the lead Enron partner at Andersen, was called before Congress. When asked if he ordered the document destruction, he took the fifth.
Answer the question based on the protection afforded me under the Constitution of the United States.
Will you invoke your Fifth Amendment rights in response to all of our questions here today?
Respectfully, that will be my response to all your questions.
Arthur Andersen was convicted of obstruction of justice in 2002. The conviction meant the firm could no longer audit public companies. 85,000 employees gone. A firm that had existed for 89 years, erased because it chose Enron over the truth. The trial began in January 2006. Ken Lay and Jeff Skilling, the two men who built the lie, facing the consequences. Ken Lay, guilty on all 10 counts: securities fraud, conspiracy, lying to auditors. Jeff Skilling, guilty on 19 of 28 counts. Lay never served a day. He died of a heart attack 6 weeks after the verdict, age 64. Skilling was sentenced to 24 years in federal prison, later reduced to 14. He was released in 2019. Andrew Fastow, the architect of the off-books empire, cooperated with prosecutors. He served 6 years. And Arthur Anderson, the Supreme Court unanimously overturned the conviction in 2005. Too late. The firm was already dead. The prosecutor stood on the courthouse steps and said, "The jury has spoken. They have sent an unmistakable message to boardrooms across the country. You can't lie to shareholders. You can't put yourself in front of your employees' interests. If a company won't let you see how it actually makes money, if the accounting requires a PhD to understand, if the people running the company are getting rich while shareholders lose everything, the $74 billion lie wasn't told in a day. It was told in an earnings report, in auditor sign-offs, in analyst calls, in employee town halls, thousands of small lies stacked like bricks until they formed a tower of glass. When it shattered, 4,000 people lost their jobs. Tens of thousands lost their retirement. One of the world's largest accounting firms ceased to exist. And the American public learned a word they'd never forget: Enron. The final ledger never closes.